College campuses gone wild. Only, well, it's not the kind you're thinking about. I'm talking about colleges taking a cue from those sanctuary cities, leading a revolt against Donald Trump. Now, at least two colleges now declaring that they'll be safe havens for illegal immigrants. Joining us now to discuss, Amber Athey and Christopher Bedford. Amber, this is your generation, if you will. You're a millennial conservative. Perhaps you can explain this. I mean, this is insanity run amok.
Right. So these sanctuary campuses are being petitioned and pushed for by students all across the country. Columbia University recently announced that they were actually going to go ahead and call themselves a sanctuary campus. And it's important to note, though, that no one knows if these are going to be effective. Donald Trump has already said he plans to pull federal funding from any sanctuary cities. And so it wouldn't be surprising if he decides to do the same thing for these sanctuary campuses, which many are public universities that are federally taxpayer funded.
You know, Christopher, in a case of Columbia or Harvard or any of those big Ivy League schools, I love to see them foot the bill for their own students, but that's a different subject. The notion that somehow that they have the ability or the right to supersede law, particularly to harbor illegal immigrants, and of course these sanctuary cities are harboring illegal immigrants who have committed further crimes once they've come into this country.
So the thing with the sanctuary cities where they got this idea is it all works if the president and the executive decide they're not going to enforce the law. These colleges, they've been making things up the whole time, like safe spaces. They've been making up all these different terms to describe things which don't actually bend with reality. And when they want to call themselves a sanctuary university, we'll see what happens when Attorney General Jeff Sessions comes around, because he's likely not going to tolerate that. And I think these college students are going to see reality hit the fantasy they've constructed, and it's going to be pretty hard.
I got to tell you, though, Amber, I mean, we saw Mayor de Blasio here in New York, some call him Comrade de Blasio, spend 62 minutes with Donald Trump, come out in front of Trump Tower, and lay down the law to Donald Trump. So the progressives, the hard progressives who believe in this sort of stuff, they seem like they're battening down the hatches and they're in for a battle.
Well, they're certainly accelerating their efforts to get these sanctuary campuses up and running. And so at the Leadership Institute's campus reform, we've seen that students have been pushing for rights for illegal immigrants for some time now. But because Trump's been elected, they've really been doubling down. We've seen a lot of states pass laws saying that illegal immigrant students get tuition, and private universities like the University of Chicago have given as much as $300,000 in scholarships to illegal immigrant students. So this isn't a new trend, but it is one that is accelerating because of Trump's win.
Amber, let me ask you, we've seen this sort of craziness beginning to backfire, particularly at some of these campuses where it seems like the faculty have bent over backwards to appease, if you will, to far left. Do you sense that happening, and could this actually even backfire even more on them?
Well, it's backfiring in the sense that a lot of colleges are losing donations from their alumni. Professors are retiring. Just recently at the University of Arkansas Law School, the president of that school actually had to resign because of pressure from conservative students and faculty. And at Mizzou University, where we saw protests all throughout last year, and the football team refusing to play in football games, they're now losing a lot of students. No one wants to go to school there, and they're losing a significant amount of alumni donations. So there is a backlash for these liberal policies that are being pushed on campus.
You know, Chris, obviously the new Trump administration, being a law and order campaign and administration, is going to have a lot on their plate. Do you think they will, I don't have to fight fire with fire? I mean, you mentioned Attorney General Jeff Sessions, but again, I think that these universities probably think that they can work their way through the next 4 years and somehow keep this going.
And they might be able to, because the last thing that they're going to want to see is having students pulled out of dormitories because they're illegal immigrants. But we've already seen a little bit of a prioritization with Donald Trump's administration, where they said the first thing they're going to go after are the violent gang members, the criminals. However, on the side of the universities, it'll be fairly easy for them to yank federal funding. There are very, very few schools in the country that don't take federal funding. Hillsdale is one I can think of. Places like Harvard will be able to survive that and do just fine. Universities giving preferential treatment to out-of-state, to out-of-country people who aren't even citizens of this country versus out-of-state students, that's against the law, and they could lose their funding, and you'll see them start to wince. But I don't think we'll see the National Guard going into any schools anytime soon.
All right, guys, thank you both very much.